Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. Today we're brewing up another Lager Series episode, so sit back, grab your steins, and get ready to Pils nerd out with us. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us.
I was laughing to myself because I realised as you were reading that there was a typo because I was just doing it really, really quick before the episode. And obviously, it hasn't red squiggled for some reason. But, because I was just trying to get it done before we started recording. And I was like, please don't Ron Burgundy it. But I realised as you were about to say it, which then I started laughing and then you didn't Ron Burgundy it. So I was like, didn't. Oh, it's fine. It's good. And that made me absolutely chuckle. I will say I spared you because obviously... if anyone doesn't know what we're doing at this point, we're doing German Pilsners. And I thought initially that it would have been really funny to translate that whole intro, the entire intro into German.
But I probably know more German than you do.
You absolutely do. That's why I was going to use Google Translate. And so I was like, I'm going to just have you open it and then just have to read it through literally the entire intro in German because I thought that'd be really funny. But then I stopped myself because I thought about when it gets to the not because of you because I'm selfish because I thought about when it gets to the part that you said and me and I have to say hi, and then I thought, hey, what if I miss my cue because I have no idea what you just said, or number two, I don't know how to say anything in German. It's what if I said something really bad because I don't know. What if I just said the first thing that came to my head in German and then it did not work? So really it was because of me.
My best friend, everybody.
But I did think it would be I just wanted to catch when you opened it up and you read it all in German, what were you gonna say to that? And that made me laugh. But then it made me not laugh when I had to think about my response, and I went, "Oh, that's not funny at all."
I'd have given it a go. I'd have given it a go.
And I went, "Oh, that's not funny at all," and then I didn't translate it. German Pilsners.
German Pilsners. Right. Okay. So, fun story from me about German Pilsners. I think it was German Pilsners that made me not like lagers.
This is going to be a fun one then, isn't it?
I mean, I think as well, your palate changes and grows over time. I think I've come to appreciate how well they're crafted and the way that they're built, shall we say, which we'll talk about. But yeah, it's German Pilsner tends to be more bitter than some other lagers, and as we are aware, unless you're new around here, dear listener, bitterness is not something that I'm a massive fan of. So I think this is one of the reasons I was always just I don't like lager. It's bitter, because I have a vivid memory of getting a beer and going, oh, you know what, it's a lager, I'm gonna I'll try it, and being pleasantly surprised, and it's because it was a Helles, not a Pilsner. So and then that's when I was like, oh, hang on, I should probably look into this a little bit more. I still don't like Kolsch though. That's just a personal preference.
It's just truly shocking, just how many lager episodes have we done? No, don't tell me, save this, because this could be a good quiz question. And I feel like there's not even really an end in sight. The only thing that's really stopping us or delaying us, the blockers that are in our way, the hurdles stopping us from getting more lager episodes, is that some of them are just a bugger to find.
Yeah.
You can't find multiple of decent ones of the same ones together.
Or we want to find a classic example, and actually finding a really good classic example.
Classic example is
really
impossible.
And actually, the ones that we've picked today are not on the BJCP recommended list. None of them are. I'm very surprised.
Well, it's been a tough one to find some of the surprisingly tough to find some of these things. Although I have a feeling that because of the time we're recording this, right after we're done recording this, it's going to become increasingly easy.
Yeah.
Which winds me up to no end, but also I'm like, all right, fair.
Right, so we're going to start with, I think, one that everyone would recognise as a very classic German Pils, Augustiner Pils. Surprisingly, not on the BJCP recommended list.
I am quite surprised about that, to
I
be
was very
fair.
surprised because I feel like it's one that everyone's like, oh, Augustiner Pils, yeah. You know? And when I was looking earlier, I was like, that'll be on there. Ooh. No, it's not. But yeah, that's what we're going to start with.
What out of curiosity, what are they recommending are? Because if you're saying that none of the ones that we have today, so one of the ones that we have today we've had on the podcast before.
Yes.
And the other one is completely, I wouldn't expect that one to be at all on that list. But what are the ones that would have recommended?
I was going to bring this up later, but
okay,
we'll
pause.
No, we'll do it now. We'll do it now because it's fine. Like, so ABK Pils Anno 1907.
Okay, fair.
Jever Pilsner, König Pilsner, Paulaner Pils, Bierstadt Slow Pour Pils, which I have heard is phenomenal. Bierstadt is a lager brewery in Denver, and I hear that their beers are chef's kiss.
I was not about to guess that.
So that's apparently a really good one. Rothaus Pils, Schrorama Pils, and Truma Pils. I don't think I've ever had any of those. Might have had the Paulaner.
I've had Paulaner. I've had ABK.
I don't know if I've had the ABK Pils though.
I think I feel like I need to Google what it looks like.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have had a few different. No, I've definitely had that. Oh no.
No, I've not had the Pilsner.
No, I've had the. Yeah, I don't think I've had that one. That colour's different.
And there's Pilsner and there's Pils Anno 1907, and the Anno 1907 is the one that's recommended. So there's two different.
Yeah, I've not had that one.
I've had the Hells.
I've had the Hells.
I think I might have had the Dunkel.
I've also had the Dunkel.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've had another one as well, but I'm not 100% positive. Yeah. But yeah, looking at that label, that one doesn't look as familiar, so no, I don't think I've had that one.
I've had stuff from Rothaus, but I've not had...
I don't think I've had that from Rothaus. No. But at least I know those ones. Like, so there's some that I just go, no, I don't even know what that one is, but those ones I do know.
Yeah. Right, should we crack this open before we get into tasting notes and history and all of that good stuff?
I'm going to drink mine out of my Lost and Grounded.
Nice. I'm just going to use it out of my tasting glass. Now, the perfect glass for a Pilsner, we're getting a bit early into these things, but that's fine, is a Pilsner glass. So it's usually quite like a long, thin kind of triangular glass. It's usually got a foot on the bottom of it, or some sort of stem so that you can kind of hold it and not get it warm.
Yeah, I just wanted to go for my Oktoberfest dreams. Even though this is not, I appreciate this is not an Oktoberfest beer, but we're going German.
It's German, it's fine.
German beers, so that's why. And the time of year it is.
I have a Pilsner glass because I don't really drink Pilsners. It smells nice though.
I have to be fair, I do have quite a few Pilsner glasses, but I didn't want to. I quite frankly just did not want to. It does smell really nice. It smells quite like good. Bright, quite lemony. Like lemony. Yeah. There's almost like a tiny little bit of like the with the lemoniness. There's like a tiny little bit of like this like little tartness there.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of sweetness even, like a lemon sherbet maybe.
Mine's got a gorge moussey head on it.
Mine did, but it has kind of gone a little bit now. But like it is interesting when I when you just roll the glass around a bit. The lacing's pretty good on it. I can't really complain.
It's got a lovely kind of like lemony yellow colour, and I've got loads of tiny sugar carbonation.
I was literally just about to show that because I was about to be like, I want everyone to know my glass isn't dirty. It is not a dirty glass, even though it looks like
all
it.
The bubbles. So many.
There is so many, and they're so teeny tiny. And they're like moving at like a moderate pace. Like I wouldn't say it's like the fastest streaming, but it's also not the slowest streaming. Love it.
Shall we?
Let's go in.
It's very appetising.
Prost. Yeah, I don't dislike it.
I mean, why did I dislike these?
I think for me, it's like it's not my favourite style of lager, but I don't dislike it. Like I think that if I were, again, for me, this is more probably the type of beer I would have on holiday when it's like there's not a mass amount of like options. Like this is that's the safe bet to to go for, whereas like I like my lagers more bready, toasty.
Yeah. So these are a lot cleaner, lighter. There is
Yeah.
a bit of bitterness in there. I think maybe, maybe my palate has just acclimatized to that sort of bitterness nowadays, because it's not as bitter as I remember it being when I was like, oh, I don't enjoy those, or maybe I just had one. Like it wasn't an
Maybe you just had
Augustiner,
one that
maybe
was
it was something else that was just
exceptionally bitter.
And again, this is the lesson. Like if you have one of that style and it's not for you, like try a different one. You don't have to drink what you enjoy, but if you want to if you're like drinking widely and want to try different things, try a different maker of that style rather than the same ones.
I would argue as well though that if you try one and you don't like it, it's probably useful to also check style guidelines, because it might be that I'm not saying that everyone has to be super nerdy into style guidelines, but if you've like found, oh, I really don't like this, and you've picked out what it is you don't like about it, or maybe you haven't picked out what you don't like about it, look at style guidelines, which is what we're about to look at, I'm sure. And you can kind of be like, oh, here is what I've identified as what I don't like about this, and this is what I don't want in other beers. But equally, it could tell you that that's not something that you should be getting, and therefore maybe it's not a good representation. Because I think if you look at the style guidelines, and it's exactly matching more or less for the most part, within 75-80% accuracy of what that description is, and you don't like it, then maybe you go, yeah, that's not for me. But if you find that you're going, oh, okay, that's quite different, and that's quite different, and that's quite different to what I'm expecting, then maybe it's worth giving something another go before deciding that actually that's not, because it could just be that beer in particular is maybe not the best representation for the style guideline.
100%.
I do get a bit of mineraliness from this as well, which I think that's for me. I don't dislike it, but that's for me why I don't love it, because I don't get like a massive bitterness or anything. I do like sort of the like at a high level the overall's good, but the mineraliness for me is what I don't think I particularly enjoy, because I like mine with those like warmer bready toasty
I
notes.
quite like the mineraliness, BJCP guidelines. Let me push my glasses on.
I want the numbers. I'm here for the numbers.
German Pils sits under Section 5, Pale Bitter European Beer. This is 5D. So our overall impression, a pale, dry, bitter German lager featuring a prominent hop aroma. Crisp, clean and refreshing, showing a brilliant gold colour with excellent head retention. I think we've basically said that. I think that is...
I don't know if I would say, like for mine, it looks a little bit on the paler side. This makes it look more gold than...
it's quite pale.
I would say it's on the paler side of gold for me. Not quite like when you say a gold colour, I wouldn't... This isn't what I'd envision. SRM, let's see what its SRM is
what's
then.
Its SRM? 2 to 4. So it is supposed to be quite light, 2 to 4.
I think just when I think golden, I think of something slightly darker than this colour. But again, if you're watching the video, it's not going to help because that makes it look more like the correct colour than my actual in person.
Oh, so appearance, it says straw to deep yellow. Oh, okay. Brilliant and very clear. So straw, straw is lighter. Yeah.
I'd say deep, straw to deep yellow works.
Creamy, long-lasting white head. I mean, my head's lacing down the glass quite nicely. Aroma, moderate to moderately high, flowery, spicy or herbal hops. Now I'm getting more lemon.
I get lemon. I get definitely more lemon. Yeah, specifically lemon.
Yeah, definitely lemon. Low to medium grainy, sweet or doughy malt character, often with a light honey or toasted cracker quality. I've got a little quote later on that I got from an article about, like, that talks about the cracker quality. Clean fermentation profile. The hops should be forward, but not totally dominate the malt in the balance. Like, this one just smells like lemon. Maybe that is okay. So I feel like that lemon comes from Pilsner malt. Maybe that's a combination of the malt and the hops creating that.
Like all that lemon they add in there.
all the lemon. That'll be a Radler. That's a different episode.
To be fair, I feel like, to be fair, because of that lemon, I feel like, and the lightness of it, and the fact that it is, because it doesn't have those strong like bready qualities, I feel like this would make a pretty good Radler, to be fair.
Yeah. So the flavour, initial malt flavour quickly overcome with hop flavour and bitterness. leading to a dry, crisp finish. I definitely think this one's quite dry and crisp.
I would say the dryness even more so than there is a crispness, but I think the crispness is fairly light. The dryness is fairly heavy. The bitterness is not as pronounced as maybe how it sounds when you read it.
Malt and hop flavour similar to aroma, medium to high bitterness, lingering into the aftertaste along with a touch of malt and hops. Clean fermentation profile. Minerally water can accentuate and lengthen the dry finish. Hops and malt can fade with age, but the beer should always have a bitter balance. Medium light body, medium to high carbonation, should not feel heavy, not harsh, but may have a flinty, minerally sharpness in some examples. There you go. There you go. So it should be between 4.4 and 5%. What ABV are we on? Ooh. 5.6. Slightly high. Oh no, 4.4 to 5.2. It's still over.
It's still over. I thought it was closer. I thought it was closer. I was like, oh, it's only 0.1 off. Like, that's all right. And then you like adjusted it even lower, and I was like, no, very off.
Yeah. So that's why it's not a commercial example. Then
there we go.
ABV. That's fair.
I think the carbonation levels, because you said it was like medium to high carbonation. I actually don't. I feel like medium would be like the upper end of the carbonation of what I'm getting from this. Yeah. Honest, I think I wouldn't say it's like low, but I would say it's not quite. It's somewhere between low to. Yeah, I'd say low to medium, where it's there. I do feel it's fairly balanced, though. I think that even the minerally flavour and all the flavours together are fairly balanced, like with the bitterness. So
yeah. It gets compared to the Czech Pilsner because that's where it originated. Like, I'll get into that when we get into the history of it. So it's comes after the Czech Pilsner. Ingredients. So typically, the beer will be made with a base malt of German Pilsner malt. Hence the Pilsner. And that
what have you said? It's like something wild. Like it's made with like chocolate malt.
Made with Pilsner malt. Pilsner malt is very light. It is lightly kilned. I was reading someone's recipe. They were talking about how they'd made a Pilsner and they were using Maris Otter instead of Pilsner malt, and then they went to Pilsner malt because the Maris Otter kind of gives you, like, Maris Otter gets used a lot in barley wines because it gives you that kind of rich sweetness. And I think in a German Pilsner, you want more of that, like, light, crackery, doughy, which you'll get from that. Often it's like 100% Pilsner malt. There's nothing else added to it. And as well, the Pilsner malt can give you that lemoniness as well. Hops should use very traditional German hops. Hallertau, Mittelfrüh, Tettnanger or Spalt. These are our original hops. Some of those are not doing so well. Dr. Doomgloom is poking her head out. They're not doing as well because of climate change, but there are things that are coming into place to replace them. In fact, I think I told you this story when we were talking about hops before, but last summer when I was at the Society for Hop Research in Hull, in the Hallertau, they are developing a hop there, and it's currently only a number, and it's like something 107. And they were working with Augustiner to test it in the Pils and see if it made any difference. And Augustiner had reported that in their trials, using this hop instead of the more traditional ones resulted in no difference in flavour, no difference in aroma. So then Erdinger was about to start trials, but this was like last August. They were going to start testing it in their wheat beer to see if they got the same results. And if so, they thought they might get commercialised this year. So
interesting.
When I come back from the Hallertau this year, I'll see whether that's happened or whether there's still doing trials on it.
Get the tea. You got to get the tea.
Go and find out for us. Go and say hello to Elon Musk's beer bottle and find out whether 107 got commercialised. Is getting commercialised or not.
Oh, I wouldn't even say hi to his bottle. Oh. But that's like, you got to get the tea. You got to be like,
Yeah.
oh,
I'll come back and let you know.
oh, so I heard about this happening last year. Oh, where's that at now?
Yeah. Yeast that is used, classic lager yeast. They want a really clean, crisp flavor profile with really minimal, probably really none at all fruity esters, so that in these beers the malt and hop are really going to shine. Like, you're not getting, like with your English ales, you get a bit of esters and fruitiness that comes from the yeast. In particularly in a pilsner, you don't want any of that. You want that cleanness. You want the malt and the hops to really shine through. And the water they use is typically soft with a low mineral content, and it allows the subtle flavours of the malts and hops to come through without being overshadowed by any mineral flavours. But as it said before, it does depend on what type of water is being used.
It's interesting though, because I guess it's I guess the key word in that is overshadowed by mineral flavors. Like in this one, I don't feel the mineral quality of it is overshadowing the beer.
No.
I feel like it's working actually quite well with all the combinations of flavors. It's just that overall, it's not my favorite type of flavor in a beer, especially a lager. But it's not overpowering. It works pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I think as I'm getting through this, I'm tasting more of the bitterness, like it's like building up more. It's not unpleasant, but I can see why previously I wouldn't have liked it as much.
I think the bitterness has kind of stayed the same for me throughout it. It's like I said, it's noticeable, but not massively. I think the lemon part is slowly dying down little by little, but I do still think that the lemon, like, it is far more lemony. I don't want to make it sound like someone's going to crack open a bottle of it and be like, it's lemon. But I think like I'm just coming at it from like what I came in expecting it to be from what I understand already of a German lager. And like I didn't expect it to be quite so lemony. And I think that's what's like just sticking with me in my brain. But it's not unenjoyable. I feel like I could drink this, like I could drink quite a lot of it. Like if I was sat somewhere in a bar somewhere on holiday and then like, okay, another round, yeah, sure. But as per my usual comments, I just want some pretzels with it. So I did think about, because Ken asked if I had tried the little frozen pretzels yet, and I was like, I haven't, because I just haven't had a chance to, because I've just been here, there, and everywhere. But tonight I did think about the fact that I was like, maybe I should make a pretzel for this. But then I thought I'm going to save it. I thought I'll surprise you and I'll be like, I've got a pretzel, haha. But then...
because I'd have been really sad.
Yeah, but then I didn't, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold fire on that. There's better things that I can use that pretzel for in terms of this podcast. So I was like, I'll hold fire on it. And also I have baked goods that I really want to eat after. So I was like, I can't have a pretzel and baked goods. That's just too much.
So I do have some food and beer pairings, but I'm going to hold those back.
Okay.
For later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope it's cookies and brownies from Get Baked, because that's what I have. And I hope it specifically says on BJCP of like, make sure you order cookies and brownies from Get Baked in Leeds. Thank you.
I don't think it says that.
Oh wow! I planned this so well.
Good job. Shall we try another one to compare to it?
Yeah, because mine is
going down very quickly.
It's going surprisingly quickly for, I guess, because I'm used to these coming in like 500ml bottles.
Yeah,
and this one's 330 ml.
330. Yeah,
so
a little bottle.
It's just it's going a lot quicker than I anticipated. But all right, let's get the next one out then.
Right, we've got another German example for you next. So the next one is Flensburger Pilsener. I'll just point out, Augustiner is labelled up as a Pils. This one is labelled up as a Pilsener, Pilsener, and you'll also see them as Pilsner, Pilsner. I have a fun fact about that. I'll share it now because we're talking about
Now's
it.
The right time.
Now is the right time. So you'll see that these three different denominations for them written around, they all basically mean the same thing. It's all German Pilsner, but it is a bit of a nod to the fact that in the Czech Republic, only Pilsner Urquell can be referred to as a Czech Pilsner.
Oh.
Because it is brewed in Pilsner or in Pilsen, so it is an official Pilsner. Anything that is brewed elsewhere can't be called a Pilsner. So they changed it, but still people put Pilsner on it.
Okay, fair. Feels a bit cheating.
Especially in the US, like, or you have to say like it's a Pilsner style. You can't say that it is a Pilsner.
You know, people do though.
Yeah, they do.
Like, that's the thing, like people absolutely do.
I mean, in the US, they do. They say whatever they want, like when they're because there's a lot of German and Czech style beers out in the US. But yeah, they write whatever you want. But it was a little nod to you're not supposed to call anything that isn't brewed out of Pilsen, outside of Pilsen, a Pilsner.
I like that. That's interesting. Now I feel like I've seen people in the UK like have it as Pilsner. Like not so it just but then I'm like, oh, maybe they have also done it this way around and I just haven't spotted, like maybe my brain's just read it as how I wanted to read it. Now I'm gonna be constantly like, oh, is that one spelled? How's that one spelled? So
this is a cute little 330ml bottle. It's one of the flip tops. It's got the little neck labels sticking over it.
Yeah, mine looks a bit sad on the top.
Does it? Oh, yours is rubbed
faded.
off. Yeah, I've got my little...
Mine's a bit faded and a bit chipped, but that's okay. It is what it is. We had this before when we did an was it an Oktoberfest episode that we had?
Yeah, I think it must have been.
I think it was an Oktoberfest episode that we had. I can't remember if I enjoyed it or not. But I do remember. I mean, I don't think I didn't enjoy it, but I can't remember how much on the spectrum of like the smiley face. Am I like slightly smiley or full smiley? I can't remember. I think I was a slightly smiley on it. But I do remember the plop that comes with opening it. And I had one of the guys I work with when we were up in Derby, and I took them all to Suds and Soda, and he is constantly like, I just need the most like basic, like he's like basic bitch lager, please. Like he'll say to me like, "What's the most basic bitch lager? Can you like pick me out the basic one?" And he's like, "I just want minimal flavors. I can't have it too spicy." Like he'll go like he'll have something. Yeah, he needs the light lagers. Now we all know now a light lager is really what he wants. Yeah, but he loves like I think he pretty much likes like Italian lagers and stuff like that as well, because he went to Italy and was like messaging me going, "Can I bring back like bottle, like you travel with bottles?" I was like, "Can I bring back bottles?" I was like, "Yeah, of course you can." And he's like, "My parents are telling me that you can." I was like, "You absolutely can. Like, if you've got check luggage, you totally don't need that negativity in your life. You can absolutely do it." But I remember like constantly he'll have something and he'll go, "Oh, it's too spicy." Like, it's too spicy. And I'm like, "It's not too spicy. It's just flavor. It's fine." And so he'll be like, "What's the most basic bitch lager?" And I think I got him one of these, and I believe I have a video of him opening it, and it makes the pop noise, and he was like, it was like the joy of like the popping of the bottle was he was like, "Oh, that's an enjoyable noise." And I was like, it even says right on it, plop.
It does, yeah.
So I think he read it and he was like, "Oh, what's that?" And then he opened it and he was like, "Oh, that's a very enjoyable noise." Sorry, let's try to capture the magic.
To enjoy and entertain everyone.
Oh, it was very entertaining to me because it's everywhere. Like anytime we go anywhere, it's like, what's the most basic one that I can get? And then I'm gonna try to look at it and be like, that one, but you might not like it. But just if you don't like it, I'll just drink it.
I'll drink it for you.
Right, let's capture the magic of the plop. Let's try to, anyways.
Oh, mine just fizzed.
I feel like I got a bigger plop from yours, and mine just made a sad little like and it sprayed me a bit. It was a bit rude, but it's fine.
Oh, mine had an excitable head.
Brilliant. Mine's all right.
I'd say they're fairly similar colours. This one might be a touch more yellow.
It's quite hard to tell. I would say it's hard enough to tell that I would consider them the same. I think the head on this is not quite.
It's not as moussey, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's quite as full. Like I think the other one like just poured fuller, even though it was like in a wider glass as well, where it can be harder to be fuller.
Yeah. This one smells more like, lager.
I think, yeah, I agree. It smells more lager, but it smells more like lager in the sense of I think it has less like it has less aromas for me, like
Okay.
compared to the other one. Like the other one had way more of like a bold smell.
Yeah, I'm getting
This has more like when you're in a bar and like there's like people having lager
yeah.
from like somebody spilled a bit of lager, but not quite as stale as that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I can
Yeah.
describe it.
It smells crackery. It smells like
Yes.
herbally hops.
I would say herbally,
Yeah,
and the cracker definitely work. Not quite so lemon.
Yeah. The lemon's not as
There's no
not
lemon
as
on
there
this
for
one.
me.
Oh, it's
No.
very, very. I think, to be fair, you could probably pick something out that is slightly lemon if you really, really
Yeah, if you
tried. But
really
it's
tried
very
and thought about it.
subtle.
But it doesn't. When I smell it, I didn't go, "Oh, lemon!" Like I
The
did
other
on
one
the
was
other
like
one.
immediately like,
Yeah.
this is lemon.
Yeah. All right, should we go in?
Yeah.
Prost.
That bitterness is so much more pronounced in sip one.
Yeah. So this is the kind of flavours that put me off lager.
Oh, it's really weird because it's not as dry. So the first one was quite a bit more dry, I think. This is dry, but the carbonation is higher, and I think the dryness lands differently. The first one, the dryness was a different type of dryness, and I don't know how to describe it. The bitterness in sip one so far is quite aggressive, but then the aftertaste has really got that like graininess to it, but I like that. So like I'm so confused because I'm like first it's bitter, but then it's grainy, so it's like Sour Patch Kids. First they're sour, then they're sweet. And I'm like, oh, I don't, and I'm like, oh, and then they're like, oh no, but here's a taste you like, and I'm like, oh.
See, I feel like this is the problem with this for me is there's that bitterness and then there's a dryness which cleans everything out, but that bitterness is kind of lingering for me, and that's why
I don't feel the dryness in mine.
Fan.
I don't feel the dryness in mine cleans out the taste like it did in the first one. I think it just leaves a weird imbalance, and the mineraliness that just came through with the bitterness. I don't feel like I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I mean, I know I'm only 2 sips in and it might get better, but I don't feel it's a balanced bitterness.
Yeah.
It feels a bit unbalanced compared to, I think it's because we started with something that was so very well balanced and the bitterness was minimal. And then we moved to this and I'm like, oh, it's quite aggressive. And I think what you said in the description where it was like the bitterness lingers in the aftertaste, this very much does. But I also think it goes quite hand in hand with the minerally quality, but like it ends up tasting quite bizarre towards like the back of my mouth, which I don't know how to describe that in any other way.
I feel like there's like with the Augustiner there was that crackeriness. In this, I feel like it's more floury, doughy, and that's
I could see that.
Though that is appropriate, I'm not a massive fan.
I don't know if I would say that I felt like Augustiner was crackery for me, but this definitely, when you said doughy, like this feels doughy.
Yeah.
But the bitterness
that doughiness with the bitterness, that combination I'm just not a fan of.
It's like, but then I feel like
it's fine.
I feel a bit gaslit though. I feel like people would hate the fact that we're saying that about this beer, that we're like, oh, isn't like, I feel like there's so many people that like I've seen people praise this beer a bit, and I'm like, oh, it's just not
flavors of beer.
It's just not for me personally.
For me. I don't think it's a badly made beer.
No.
I just don't think it's for me. Like this combination of flavors isn't
for me. Yeah. No. I think it's the bitterness with that mineraliness is just more than I can really enjoy. But then I feel gaslit because then occasionally you'll get this tiny little bit of like the grainy quality that I'm like, oh, I really like that. And then I'll go, oh, okay, maybe. And then it just hits me back with the minerally bitterness. And I'm like, oh, right.
And this is a very good showcase of that, beers that are the same style aren't the same.
Yeah,
like,
these are
very different.
This is
very different to the Augustiner,
wildly
but
different.
They're both German Pils. Like, you know,
I'm
I
willing
have
to
very
keep
different
drinking it.
feelings.
I'm willing to keep drinking it and seeing if maybe the more I drink it, the more it
Yeah.
subdues
For
itself.
science. But, you know, they're both very different, but the same style. And, you know, I have very different feelings about them.
How you just said that, I know it wasn't shady, but like how you said it felt shady. Like you were like, I just have very different feelings.
About them. Would you like to hear the history?
Yeah, soften the blow with some history.
I've alluded to it a little bit. So the German Pilsner, often called Pils, had its origins in the mid-19th century. So the Czech Pilsner was created in the Czech Republic, in Pilsen. It became very popular very quickly, and it also became popular in Germany. It was a departure from the ales and lagers that were being made at the time, which were all probably pretty dark because they were still learning about kilning malts. So when that came over, this crisp pale lager was really, really exciting for everybody. So the Germans took notice of the style and started brewing their own versions, and gradually they adapted the style to be palatable to local tastes and the brewing conditions and the brewing ingredients that they had available to them. So by the 1870s, German Pilsner had become a distinct beer style all of its own because it was characterised by a lighter body and a more pronounced hop bitterness compared to the Czech version, because it used German hops and German malt rather than what was available in the Czech Republic. So interestingly, there is apparently a north and south divide between the types of German Pilsner, and they each have their own characteristics. It's described as kind of being like West Coast IPA and air quotes East Coast IPA. You'll find that like both are brewed in both areas, but you know these names are given to those particular areas of why they're like that. And as well, there are then some that don't fit into either category. Just to,
You've got your
complicate
you should have your
further
American IPA versus your West Coast, your New
exactly.
England.
So you've got your German Pilsner, and then you've got your northern German Pilsner and your southern German Pilsner. So versions like Hever, Bitburger, and Vorsteiner are examples of northern style German Pilsners. They tend to be more clean, use more bittering hops, incorporate slightly harder water, and have comparatively less hop aroma. Kiesmann, Paulaner, Ketterer, and Spaten are southern German interpretations. They are a little less bitter, more aromatic, and have a softer flavour profile, which is a bit more balanced. So they emphasise southern German hops such as Tettnanger. So I'm wondering...
I feel like this one is more northern, and
Augustiner
the other
is more
one
southern.
is more southern.
So maybe I like southern German Pils. Maybe this is where I've been going wrong.
Yeah, I feel like this was definitely more hard water.
Yeah.
Type water.
Apparently the Rothaus is a mix of the two.
Fair.
Just for clarification.
That's when you have your like general American IPAs.
Yeah.
This is like... I want to go back to... I'm going to have the Augustiner now, just to go back.
I have some fun...
Oh my god, it tastes so much more flat. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Not flat, but like, it's not flat, but it tastes so much more flat, I feel like, in comparison, once I've had the Flensburger first.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It makes it taste more bitter as well, because like that bitterness just lasts.
The bitterness calls to the bitterness. I've got some other fun facts. But shall we try a non-German version of a German Pils?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's crack one out. But our third version is Riba, an unfiltered Pils from Garage, who are in Barcelona.
Yeah, I like the label.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pink with some little green mushrooms on it.
They're very
toadstools, cute. Probably more than mushrooms.
Yeah, I would say toadstool, green toadstool.
Yeah. Oh, so the Flensburger was 4.8%. This one's 5. So it's between the two. So
fair.
when I was looking, so we got our Augustiner when we were doing a beer order, and it was the only German Pilsner we could get when we were doing our beer order. I was then in Beer Merchants, and I was like texting Tori and going, shall I see if I can find some German Pilsners? I must be able to find some in Beer Merchants. You were like, yeah, go on. So I went in, and literally the only two they had was the Flensburger and this one from Garage. And I'm like, Helles, some other type of German lager. There's a Pilsner. And then I looked up, and I think I had to look this one up to confirm that it was a German Pilsner.
Problem, there's so many types.
Yeah.
So many types of Pilsners that you're just like, oh, like you can't even just go by seeing like like there's so many different types of lagers, and then you're like, oh, there's different types of Pilsners, and then you're like, okay, which kind is it? Because I saw one as well in one of the shops I was in over the last few days, and I was like looking around, and it just said like Pils on it, and then I was like, but what kind? And then I started like looking at like, no, and like there's just some that just don't identify.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a modern Pilsner. And you're like,
what
okay, what does that mean? I don't know what I'm expecting to have from this. So, okay. So then I couldn't risk it because I was like, I couldn't tell you what.
And this is the thing, like when you're trying to train yourself and you're specifically wanting to try particular beer styles, you've got to be so careful because you can get one, and like with what I'm doing throughout this year where I'm trying to tick them all off from the Untapped list, sometimes what people are calling their beer is then different to what is actually logged on
Which
there.
I do wonder how that happens as well.
Yeah.
Like how does that
some that are, like there are some that it's like, oh, this is a particular style. And I was like, oh, I've not had that. But when I go and look it up, it's like Wild Ale.
Yeah, the amount of ones that have come up as Wild Ale or just like Farmhouse Saison.
Farmhouse. And I'm like, mate, but it's this.
It's like it says on the can, it's really interesting, and and it's normally good, but then you're just like, oh, or like it would just be like Pilsner, and then when you like get it, thinking it's one thing, and then you go check it in, it's like something completely different.
And I'm being quite for my styles challenge. I'm being quite staunch about what it says on Untapped because that's where I'm seeing where it's recorded. So I am being quite careful on that. Like, I mean, if it says on the thing that it's a beer forte, cool. Then you're drinking a beer forte, and Untapped says it's strong ale or whatever.
I just wonder how that disparity happens.
Whoever put it on Untapped just ticked around.
But the people that
rather than
put it on Untapped should surely be the breweries that
are as well. Some of these more specific styles don't necessarily come up on there.
Fair.
So then you got to find the broader category that it sits in.
Oh,
it's very frustrating when you're trying to when you're trying to find
out. You're trying to tick a box.
When you're trying to, but also when you're training your palate. And like when I was doing my sister own training, I was trying to find particular styles because I wanted to try them and see what they were like, and learn more about them because they're on the list that you need to know. Trying to find some of them was a nightmare. Like and trying to find I would go through the list of ones that were on the BJCP list because that's where the source material is coming from. So you want a commercial example that is right. Like, for example, these two, the two we've just had are completely different.
Yeah, very different to each other.
So that doesn't help you when you're trying to learn.
It's interesting though, because I feel like they have there's some differences, probably more with Augustiner than with Flensburger, but I feel like they still feel like they meet the majority of the description, but it's so funny how different they are from each other,
and that's why you've got to try a few different ones. Part of your studying is to find those differences, and because you don't know what when you're doing your style discrimination test, you don't know what one they're going to be using as the base. So if you're like, this one tastes like this. Like, it's really interesting because they did, I think they put an Irish stout, a dry Irish stout next to an imperial stout, was like, which one's which? And someone I know got it wrong. Someone who is an advanced Cicerone got it the wrong way round. because they were like, no, but that one's got way more body. Like that's the Imperial Stout. And they were like, widget can Guinness. And they were like, I do not drink enough widget can Guinness, obviously. Right?
Bruh.
It's so easily done because beer is so, subjective and everything.
Yeah. 100%.
From an academic standpoint, frustrating. From a tasting standpoint, super, super fun. As long as you're not trying to pass an exam.
Yeah, which I very rarely try to do because that stresses me out. I'm excited to see what this is going to taste like, though, because I can't even, with those two so drastically different.
Yeah, what's this one going to be like?
I don't know what to expect from this. Oh, she foamy, though.
Mine's okay. It seems much lighter in colour. Oh, significantly lighter in colour, I think.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a haze to it.
Yeah, well, it is unfiltered.
Okay, there we go. I was going to say, oh yeah, it does say unfiltered Pils right across it. To be fair.
It's got a nice foamy white head, though. Lots of carbonation bubbles.
See, oh, that looks nicer. How I've just got it now.
Oh yeah, you've got it just.
When I let the foam go down, I'm like, oh, okay, it looks good now.
A lot less aroma.
Oh, I just got foam all on my nose there. I poured it too well with the foam.
I'm getting doughy.
I get doughy, but then I think I get I would almost say a touch of grapefruit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not a lot.
There's something else there, but
not a lot, but just it's a very subtle, where that where that lemon was kind of sitting before, it comes across more a little bit as a grapefruit type.
I wonder if it's florally hop, if it's coming across as florally hop for me. I'm interested to see what this tastes like.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Let's go, yeah.
Prost.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, the bitterness is still quite high in this, but I find it more palatable for me than the Flensburger because I think, again, it feels much more balanced with the crispness and the dryness for me and my personal taste. But I guess that's only one sip in, so let me keep going.
So I've just double checked on. I know I looked it up on Untapped when I was buying this, but I've just double checked it on Untapped to make sure that it does say it's a Pilsner -German, because it feels like the body of it feels more like a Czech Pilsner to me.
I can see exactly why
you.
Yeah, I can see exactly why you'd say it.
It's almost like a combination of the body of a Czech Pilsner, but with the bitterness of a German Pilsner.
Yeah, and it feels like it doesn't feel as just in terms of the taste, not so much the body. It doesn't feel as light as the other two. The other two felt like they were lighter. This feels heartier.
Yes.
And more filling than the other two. And that like I said, the bitterness I don't mind in this because of the fact that it feels heartier. So it feels like it works really well with the overall taste of it. Whereas I felt with the Flensburger, that didn't feel as balanced in the way that I would prefer with the bitterness. So I mean, I enjoy this. I don't not enjoy it. But yeah, again, that's just it's very different than the other two. It almost kind of feels like in some way it's got parts of the Flensburger, part of the Augustiner, and then just something completely different to the table. Yeah,
it is interesting. God, that's why you got to drink widely, people.
Just say drink widely.
Drink widely.
Drink widely. If there's nothing else we can say, a Woman's Brew podcast co-signs drinking widely.
In moderation.
That's it. You drink widely. Responsibly drink widely.
Yeah, there we go. That's drink widely.
Drink widely in a responsible way.
A Woman's Brew where women talk about beer.
Drink responsibly
and widely.
And widely.
Yeah, there we go. Sounds good. Do you want some fun facts that I've got?
I always want fun facts.
So apparently, according to M. Salter, who I enjoy immensely, at Pints and Panels.
Don't we all?
She had a good article on the alcohol doctor about German Pilsner, and she gave a little bit about how to pour it. So there's a ritual around pouring the German Pils that was popular in the 1980s when it was common amongst the beer drinking public in northern Germany. This is called the slow pour.
Okay.
And it took roughly 7 minutes to complete in order to build a perfect head of foam. You've just literally, like, you've just put your head in your hands.
Yeah. 7 minutes to pour. I don't.
Yeah, 7 minutes.
My undiagnosed ADHD can't handle that. That is a lot. That's a long time to sit and wait for a pour.
It's been revived in recent years, especially in the US.
No.
And she's like, does it make the beer taste better? Some argue it does because the foam comes out stacked almost like soft serve ice cream.
Does it though? I feel like by the time I finished pouring it, there wouldn't be any foam.
I believe that Bierstadt in Denver does this. I think they do the slow pour. I don't know.
For 7 minutes. So you're like,
7 minutes.
Can I order this? And then they're like, yeah, sure.
They're
It'll
like,
be with you in like
yeah,
7 minutes. Because like people get annoyed when you pour a Guinness in the proper way that you have to pour a Guinness, which is like you do a bit of it, then you leave it to sit for a bit, and then you top it up. Like people don't like that. Can you imagine 7 minutes? I don't even like. I think we discovered on this on this podcast. Right. I don't even like eating Starburst for like the amount of time it takes.
So at Bierstadt, at their lager house, the slow pour Pils, it takes 5 minutes to pour.
Okay, 5 minutes. I feel like the extra 2 minutes just 7 just feels like a lot. 5 sounds
still a lot.
5 is a lot, but 5 feels like
there is a beautiful photo
reasonable
on their website of the beers.
Can we share this?
I will share. Right, so I'm going to show it to you here. Look.
Okay.
Look at that head, though.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
That looks like beautiful whipped egg whites.
It looks like when you're like cleaning dishes with like soapy water, and then you're like, let's just put the beautiful soapy water on top of it, and
it looks beautiful.
Make it look nice.
I'll
it does
share
look
it in
nice.
the show notes for those that are listening.
It looks nice, but like 5 minutes just feels aggressive. My attention span's not going to last 5 minutes.
Not got the attention span.
I would have to get a drink to wait for the drink.
Yeah, I feel like you need to put the order in for that. Order something else, and then that can come be.
I need to be like, can I get a third of that? And then like also, once I got that, I'll be like, cool. Can I now order that?
I really want to go to Bierstadt. I've heard that their lagers are so good.
Well, my office,
Denver.
My company, the proper HQ is in Denver, and I keep being like, if anyone wants to just like send me there, that'll be cool. And I really want to go just because of all the beer.
Yeah,
I'm like, I want to go do business stuff, but like really, it's because like I know all the beer that's over there.
I think Lady Justice is there as well.
Yeah,
Lady Justice.
Lady Justice is there because that's on my list.
You need to take the podcast on the road.
No, if I get to go for work, I'll be like, Joe, you got to come with me. Bye.
Yeah. Food pairings.
Oh, yep, love a good food pairing.
You know this. You know you love
pretzels. Cheese.
So, again says, get the grill out and enjoy your German Pils with barbecue, roasted veggies, teriyaki salmon, or pork cutlets. She also loves German Pils with lemony desserts.
Okay, that's interesting. I can see how it would work with lemony desserts. Although I do wonder, but would that be too much lemon? I think it would cancel it out. I don't think it would complement it in the way that like this garage one might.
Yeah. So I also asked ChatGPT for some fun facts about German Pilsner. I don't think any of these are actual facts.
Okay, did you leave it in because you know how much I love when it gives wrong answers? Yes. And I'm like, why do you tell me this?
I googled these and none of them came up.
I'm so glad that you learned to fact check because you're just like, I'm just going with it, and I'm like, no, you always have to fact check.
I was like, none of this sounds real. Oh, I don't think
Mate,
it is. But
I work for AI. I work in tech. We're trying to adopt AI, and the whole point of like the adoption of AI is like You're meant to not like. It's not going to replace. Don't worry, guys.
No. It's not going to replace you.
This is. It's meant to be a start. It's meant to be a foundational starting point to make your life slightly easier.
Yeah.
Always fact check.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure these are definitely not true.
Okay, but that makes me love them even more. Hit me
But
with
it
them.
said, because I googled all of these and none of them came up at all, so they're definitely not real.
I love that so much.
It said, here are 5 funny facts about German Pilsner. The Pilsner face.
Okay.
In Germany, there's a running joke about the Pilsner face. The involuntary facial expression people make after taking their first sip of a particularly bitter Pilsner. It's a mix of surprise and delight as the sharp bitterness hits your taste buds, and you'll often see it in Pilsner advertisements. I googled Pilsner face, nothing comes up.
I'm Googling it now.
I don't believe that is true.
I love the fact. Surely they wouldn't be making a face because they'd be used to it.
Yeah,
literally
nothing. Literally nothing.
I googled Pilsner face.
Yeah, same.
I put what is the Pilsner face?
No, nothing.
What is the Pilsner face like? As a suggestion. Literally nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Equally,
that's funny.
The Pilsner pause. Germans have a habit called the Pilsner pause, where they take a moment of silence before taking their first sip, almost like a mini meditation.
It's not.
Right? It's not a real rule, but some folks jokingly say that you need to honour the hops before enjoying your beer. I googled it. Nothing comes up with the Pilsner pause.
No, there is the Pilsner pause, because that's the fucking 5 to 7 minutes it takes to pour the thing.
Yes.
Isn't it? That's the Pilsner pause. They're like, oh, we basically are waiting for it to be poured. That's why we're waiting. So, do you think I really want to try to convince people that
that's the thing?
That's a thing. Like,
stop trying to make Pilsner pause happen.
I'm gonna be like, guys, we have to take a moment to to really appreciate
honour the hops.
We have to honour the hops. We have to honour these lovely ingredients and the bitterness.
As a person that works in hops, I don't think we've ever done that.
No, I feel like you need to start convincing people that's the thing. No, just tell people. Be like, oh no, this is a fact. Like, be like, oh, just tell people. For the podcast, I researched, and we really need to, pause to do this, and then just see if anyone actually believes it, and then you can when after you're done, you're like, okay, let's have a sip. Now you go, oh, this one's particularly bitter. Oh, did you know that there is such a thing as the Pilsner face? And people will be like, what? And you're like, yeah, it's a pretty common thing. I want to know how many people would fall for it. That's so funny.
Equally, Pilsner time machine.
What?
Some people joke that Pilsner has a special ability to turn any boring situation into a time machine. 1 minute you're having one, and the next minute you realise hours have passed and you've been engrossed in good conversation and more Pilsners than planned. Nobody says that. ChatGTP, you're the only person that says that.
Well, yeah, I think it's just you.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that could be said about any alcohol.
Yeah.
I feel like people just say that about alcohol in general. But also it's probably one guy said that as a stupid lame joke, and it didn't go over well at all. He just was like, oh, that's the alcohol time machine. Oh, really turned this night into a great one. And they're like, yeah, good one. Brian, so good. And then he posted about it, someone I told this really funny joke, and then that's now logged into ChatGPT's history, and he's like, people also make this awesome joke.
Fact. Okay, my final funny fact for you, which I don't believe is a fact in the slightest.
I hope it's just as good as the last three.
Pilsner diplomacy. Pilsner is sometimes humorously referred to as a tool of diplomacy. When you've got a disagreement with someone, a common joke is to settle it over a Pils, as the refreshing bitterness has a way of cooling down heated discussions and fostering camaraderie. Not a thing.
Not a thing, but also why would the bitterness do that? That's if anything, I feel like that just would make you more annoyed.
Go home, ChatGTP. You're drunk on too many Pilsners.
You're drunk on Pilsners, ChatGTP. I feel like, again, that's like one guy made that like a shitty joke about. Like one person was like, oh ho ho, settle that
So
over
funny.
a Pilsner. And then they're like,
So
oh,
funny.
amazing. And he wrote about it somewhere in his like online blog, his like live journal or whatever. And then it like, because that's like ChatGPT is like pulling from stuff that's like however many years old, and he made a joke in live journal once about it, and then like now we're like, oh haha, such good facts. Like he said it like it was a fact, like it happened, and now it is stuck in the AI overlords world now as like a fact. So that's insane. Those are great. I really appreciated them.
I knew they weren't true. I knew they weren't true, but I had to share them anyway.
But that should be like a new segment. I feel like we should have.
What
is like
facts? What made up facts has ChatGPT given?
But I don't even think. I think we should just be like AI overall. Like, what horrifically untrue facts can we get as if they are facts from AI? Like, I love that. That's probably my favorite thing. That's brilliant. Oh, those really great facts. Air quotes. I love those facts. I really want to try to convince people the first two for sure.
Well, there you go.
That was great. Thank you for that. I'm really digging this. I am really digging this, like, Riba.
This one?
Yeah. I think
Garage.
Out of all three of them, this one's probably the most my taste. Because the bitterness really blends in quite well after a good few sips.
I'm going to go do a re
Well, I need maybe the Augustiner. But I mean, now that's a bit warm, so. Yeah, I think the garage one. I'm going to solidify. That's my favourite. Then the Augustiner, then the Flensburger.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Augustiner, then the garage, then the Flensburger.
Fair.
I just really like there's like a sherbety nature to the Augustiner that I really like.
I think I don't just it's a hard choice for me, but I think because I think I could drink a lot of that. Like I could drink quite a lot of those quite easily. But I think with some pretzels, obviously, and cheese dip. Obviously, if you're gonna have the pretzels, you're gonna have the cheese dip. You're not gonna have like
that's a given, for goodness sake.
Yeah, it is a given. You're not just gonna have one and not the other. Don't be ridiculous. I don't know. I think like for me, it is just in the garage one. It is very much like I just think how bold isn't the word that I want to use, but it is the word that I want to use in some ways. I just think it's like these really strong, confident flavors that that I'm actually quite enjoying, and I think the Augustina's like quite. It's great for like a lighter. Like it's for me, it's back and forth between the two, and I think it kind of depends on my mood. So like right now, I feel like the garage is probably the one, but like if it was really really warm out, I'd probably want to go with the Augustiner because I think that that's lighter. And would be a much better compliment if I was like sweating and being like, oh, it's really warm. Nice. I think like the Flensburger one, I probably could just leave every time. It's just not for me. I think that one, not for me. Not for me. But the other two,
big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up.
We enjoyed them. So there you go. That's German Pilsner.
That was great.
Yeah, I think this is one of the solid lagers that you need to know about. So you're welcome, listeners.
Weirdly difficult to find.
Not as difficult as some of the other stars that we've got coming up, which we'll talk about when we get to them. Yeah. But yeah, this was slightly more difficult than I thought it was going to be to find
more difficult than I thought, but you know what's going to happen is because we're recording this on the lead up to all the Oktoberfest, but I've already been in supermarkets. There's Paulina everywhere. And I guarantee it's going to be like next week is going to be like Paulina Pils in every
that just means that we've timed this right so that listeners can hear about it and then go find themselves some delicious German Pilsners.
Hopefully.
Go forth and spread the Pilsner face. Tori, if people want to ask you about your Pilsner diplomacy, where can they get hold of you?
You'd have to make a sacrifice though to the the Pilsner gods. You have to do the Pilsner pause and everything. Yeah, if you wanna hit me with some really, really good, obviously fake AI facts about Pilsner.
Facts.
Any lagers, anything really, I'll take any of them. You can message me on Instagram at adventures_in_optimism, or you can email me at adventuresinoptimism@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of both of us, let us both know how you found all these amazing facts that Joe has presented today, or if you've tried any of these 3 beers and which ones are your favourite, least favourite, which one sounds like they're up your alley and which ones sound like they might be misses for you. You can message us both on A Woman's Brew on Instagram and Facebook, or you can email us at awomensbrewpodcast@gmail.com. Joe, if people want to ask you more about what it's like trying to do that like really oddly specific tasting for your training, where can people talk to you?
You can come and talk to me about Cicerone training. I will always gladly answer any questions anybody's got about that. And you can find me on Love Beer Learning, and I'm mainly on Instagram. That's probably the best place to find me. You can find me on Facebook. I will probably answer you there. You're better off coming to Instagram though, because that's where I hang out most of the time. You can also come to my website, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk, and there's a bunch of stuff about beer styles in there that might be helpful if that's something that you're looking to look at. Or you can email me, lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Should we go finish these lovely Pilsners and take a Pilsner pause?
Let's do it. Take a Pilsner pause. Cheers.
Frost!